An oppressed people with a vibrant culture. An overwhelming variety of cheeses. Ejaculating inside another man's wife.
Oh my god.
Teaching a girl how to handjob the penis. Shitting all over the floor like a bad, bad girl. Growing up chained to a radiator in perpetual darkness. The all-new Nissan Pathfinder with 0.9% APR financing.
Oh my god.
A pizza guy who fucked up. Such a big boy. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Cards Against Humanity Read-Along podcast, where we read you treasures like that all day long. We are
Apparently, my only role in this situation is to just laugh because I've never heard any of those before.
That's true. That's all Nick does, is he just laughs at cards.
Ryan's the one with all the cards.
That's true.
It's really well-balanced podcast. We got this one figured out.
We nailed that dick right on the head with a nail.
Yep, that's an expression.
That's an expression. Welcome to the actual podcast, Bear vs. Mancast, a podcast about video games, last I checked.
Yeah, I mean, it's also about nothing.
Nothing.
I'm Nick. That was Ryan. He was talking about cards.
I was.
And we're going to tell you a little bit about some video games we played this week and how they made us feel. And then probably some news, because I got some news to talk about.
Do you have news?
I usually have news.
That's true.
Well, I don't remember the last time I came in here and I was just like, you know what, Ryan? No news today.
I don't think you've ever done that.
No. Well, also because it's Thursday.
It is.
Unfortunately, the date is April 9th.
April 9th.
And which means that we've had a whole 8 days since the last podcast to just really collect some quality news.
That's good.
I have Nintendo news.
We had Nintendo news last week.
We always have Nintendo news.
Nintendo,
as we
news.
said a couple weeks ago, Nintendo is the newsmakers.
That's true. We did talk about that 100%. Yeah.
So, yeah, I got news.
Good.
But how many games you played this week?
2, but spoilers. I talked about them already.
Really?
Yeah.
I got some. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
What you played Bloodborne again?
I did.
Let's just talk about Bloodborne.
Let's get this shit.
Let's just play Bloodborne.
All right.
Let's just
boot up the PS4.
Get mic'd up and then just. Well, let me fire up the PS4. Give me a second.
Yep.
So, you had a very unique. It probably wasn't that unique, but you had a very interesting and notable experience playing Bloodborne this week.
You mean
you're chasing the proverbial dragon?
I don't think it was proverbial. I think it's a literal dragon.
She was not. She's a beast.
No, I just mean I think that expression comes from something. Anyway.
Well, I don't think the first person who did heroin was like, dude, this is like playing Bloodborne.
No, I think they were.
That's crazy.
In 1940 when heroin came out.
When they dropped heroin.
When fucking
they're like, check out my new drug. It's called heroin.
Mm-hmm.
It's dropping September 14th, 1941.
Yep. Yeah, no, it was bad. Yeah,
you were in a dark place.
I was in a really dark place where I would turn on Bloodborne for about 2 hours every day, and I would just die to Vicar Amelia over and over and over again.
Who is like the...
It's the fourth boss?
It's a fourth boss you fought. It's technically the third in the progression. But
there's
only
like
eight required bosses to beat that game, I think.
Yeah, and so she wrecked my fucking face repeatedly forever. And then, when did I beat her? Was it 2 days ago that I sent you a text message?
I think so. Yeah, I want to say it was like Tuesday morning.
Yeah, that's true. It was Tuesday morning, and then I beat her, and I literally rolled around the floor. On the floor.
Are you serious?
In happiness. Yes.
Yeah, and then you immediately, like, started moving on. You were making moves. Like, you beat...
I was.
The Shadow of Yharnam.
Yeah, I did that yesterday.
That's like... I mean... So I've heard that boss is not easy.
Yeah.
I cannot corroborate that fact because I beat it on my first try. Mm-hmm. So the fact that you beat it so quickly without freaking out again is... Well, first of all, that's the craziest thing ever.
I know.
Because Vicar Amelia is a difficult boss, but she is by no means the most difficult boss.
Everyone kept saying that, and I don't know how that's true. She fucking wrecked face so good.
Like, yes, if you get hit, it's gonna ruin your day. That's the thing about Bloodborne is you can't really like stack defense and just
that makes me
protect yourselves from damage. You have to be able to dodge effectively.
Yeah, that makes me grumpy. I'm like, oh cool, I'll go buy some new armor or something. I call it armor in jest because it's really just clothes.
Yeah, it basically just lets you rearrange your defenses.
Yeah, so I've been doing that. I've been collecting armor sets essentially. So I just picked up one of them, one of the ones you can buy with insight. Because I apparently I heard that if you have too much insight, enemies get harder.
So every point, it's okay. Bloodborne's been out for long enough. This isn't a spoiler. Every point of insight you have reduces your frenzy resistance.
Interesting. Okay.
I have 73 insight.
I have 10.
I need to... At this point, I'm like all in on having insight that I'm just like, I don't even see the point in me attempting to spend it.
I will usually spend my insight to get armor that's available, and then if I have all the armor, I buy fire paper to get down to 10. Because I'm like, I don't want that.
It's a pretty good idea.
Yeah.
It's a solid idea.
Because I don't see any reason having more than 10.
There really isn't any.
Yeah.
I thought that there was not a bad... Like, I didn't know it was a bad thing to hold on to. Because it's reminiscent of the humanity that you can keep in Dark Souls 1. Except that you can lose it. Like, in Dark Souls 1, it drops with your souls.
Okay.
But there's no... Like... in that game, humanity is only... It's like it's only good to have. There's no downside to it.
Right.
So... I'm just in so deep at 73 insight that it's like...
Might as well just go to 1 billion. Might as well just cap it.
Yeah, it really sucks, though, having such low frenzy resistance. It means that anything with frenzy that hits me will top out my frenzy meter eventually.
What happens when you frenzy? I haven't actually had that happen.
Oh, you just take a shitload of damage.
That sounds unfortunate.
It's like bleed from previous games.
Oh, okay.
Your meter tops out, and you just suddenly take a shitload of damage. Although, if you roll at the very second you're about to take damage, you don't take any damage or something.
Well, you are invincible.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it to work, and I don't even know if that's a glitch, but supposedly that works.
Yeah. So I think part of my problem was Kirkhammer.
I almost suggested that to you.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there who support the Kirkhammer.
Yeah.
And I think it's a piece of shit.
I still like the Kirkhammer, and I keep it on my person. But I beat Vicar Amelia with the Kirkhammer, but I'm switching probably primarily to the Lightning Mace.
Yeah, it's a good choice.
I leveled it up to +5, and that shit rocks face hard. And the cool thing about its L1 combo is that you can hit R1 and then L1 if you're locked on. It'll lightning you, but then it'll also do a thrust, which counts for blunt damage, I think. So it does a shitload of damage.
Yeah, I think all it does is blunt.
Yeah, I have like a gem in it that increases blunt damage by like 12% or some garbage.
Yeah, I found one of those.
Now it does 1 billion damage every time I hit somebody. It's pretty great.
I always use that mace as my secondary, like my offhand weapon kind of thing. Like but it was never as powerful as my saw spear.
Yeah.
So I didn't use it very much. But there was one boss that was weak to lightning, and and this boss I had the most trouble with this boss. I think it's the hardest boss in the game.
Oh shit.
And it was weak to lightning, and I just pulled out that hammer and beat it.
Good.
Even though I was trying to use bolt paper, my other weapon, for whatever reason, having it be organically lightning, and maybe it was weak to blunt too. I don't know. But that helped me.
I think that weapon does a base amount of lightning damage, and then you can add more. So I think it's always doing lightning damage because it does glow with electricity every time you hit something.
Mm-hmm. And you do eventually get, or you can potentially find, find those stones or whatever to bloodstones.
Oh yeah,
to increase lightning damage as well.
Oh, I want
one of the particular shapes.
I want one.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, so I think I need to be done with Kirkhammer as a main weapon. It's just as much damage as it can do. It only really works on enemies because bosses just have too much HP or defense, or both, honestly, to make like the Kirkhammer part effective.
Well, for all we know, Vicar Amelia is just super resistant to bash or blunt damage or whatever they call it.
Yeah, I think I did end up beating her with the hammer part. I just fucking I got 10 Molotovs. I got like 10 fire papers, and I just went to town. And I killed her.
Yeah, when I beat her, I'd use a couple Molotovs, like when she goes to heal herself and whatever.
I find that didn't work for me. Like she still healed through the Molotov. I thought it would have made her stop doing that.
You can also use
numbing mist.
There's numbing mist, yeah.
I had some, but
those are super. I mean, those are kind of rare items, and it seems like that really is the only use for them besides PvP.
Yeah, I used all 3 of them last week.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you just gotta use what you got and like hope you don't die anyways, and just like, I should probably just throw those items in the garbage because I died anyways.
Yeah, pretty much.
So where are you at now?
Let's see. I just went to that library place where there's a hunter inside of I think it's some kind of college. Birmingham. I'm in Burger with those weird fly people that make you dizzy or whatever. I'm in there.
That's Fury.
Oh, is it? Okay, sure. It's got like it's a swirly. I don't know. But yeah, I'm in there.
Or Frenzy. I mean,
I killed that guy on the roof.
I don't know if you're necessarily supposed to do that.
The internet told me it was okay, so I did.
Okay, yes. As far as I know, it's okay.
Yeah,
like
his rune is pretty good. So
yeah, I don't think there's any adverse effects to killing him. What does his rune do?
I can't remember.
Okay, cool. Did you fight the boss?
I can't find the boss.
Maybe you shouldn't have killed that guy then.
Really?
Well, you didn't miss the opportunity, but the guy is like, there's the boss. And like points towards where the boss is. No shit.
Oh, you mean like off the cliff?
You have to walk off the cliff.
Oh, I see. That's not very obvious.
He pointed towards off the cliff.
Yeah, I just thought he was
How
like...
more obvious could he be? He's like a 1,000-year-old dude.
He's a fucking senile old man who's just like, oh, look at the sun. And then I'm not gonna...
Look at the sun. You're like, Grandpa, it's been night for like 5 days. Like, oh, Billy, look at the sun.
Billy, look at the sun. Yeah, okay, I guess I'm gonna do that today. Yeah.
Well, here's another thing about that.
What?
After you beat the boss that you're about to fight, the world changes slightly. So if you got any loose ends, including NPC interactions, you should clean them up.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
what NPCs though? Like I've only ever seen like the one church guy who hangs out.
Church guy? You mean the?
Yeah, that guy.
So
the blonde guy in priesty robes, who will like tell you about stuff.
Yeah, he doesn't apply to this. Alfred's fine. Did you find the lady who? Well, did you find the old lady? Did you send the old lady back to the church?
No.
The old lady from like the dog area in Central Yarnum.
So what you're telling me? No, I haven't done that. So what you're telling me is that I need to do all this side bullshit before I fight this boss?
If you want to do the side bullshit, yeah.
Do I need to do the side bullshit to get a good ending? A little.
So hold on, let me think real quick.
Because I'm like, at this point, I'm committed to beating Bloodborne.
Oh, really? I thought you said I misread one of your texts. I thought you said you were like going to give up.
I was going to give up.
Oh, okay, cool. I'm really glad you're committed to beating Bloodborne because it's totally doable.
I was really close going through the Forbidden Woods, which is a land full of bullshit.
Yeah, that area is huge and full of frustration. I can't even believe that area is so big.
It's so big, it's windy, it makes no sense. I'm sure I missed about 100 items in there, but I don't care.
Okay, so in that area, you can go back to... You can find the back entrance to the clinic from the beginning of the game. Did you do that?
No. The clinic?
Okay.
What clinic?
The clinic that you get the blood transfusion and you sign the contract in.
Oh my god, really?
Yeah.
How?
And then, like, if you go back to that area, like, if you teleport back there...
Yeah.
Actually, I can't... Oh, it took me forever to find it. It's like... Remember the area... There's, like, a village in the Forbidden Woods?
Yep.
Like, near the area with all the dogs, like, there's a left you can take that doesn't look like... It looks like you're just going to hit a wall, but it actually is like a cave.
Oh.
If you go back to the clinic, like, if you teleport back to the first bonfire or lantern or whatever, and you go into the clinic, you'll meet... you'll talk to, like, the lady who runs the clinic, and she tells you to send people there.
Okay.
But she's evil.
Is she?
Yeah, she's evil.
So you kill her?
Well, don't kill her until after you kill the boss that you're about to fight.
Okay. That's fine. Yeah, okay.
That's my advice to you. If you do that, then you can still get the best ending.
Okay.
Whatever you do not kill her until after you beat Rom the vacuous spider.
Oh, it's a spider? Fuck.
It's... his name, that's not entirely accurate. You'll see.
All right.
It also vacuous. He's Rom the vacuous spider, and vacuous just means stupid. And I'm like, that's not a very, very nice thing to say about Rom.
Yeah, I'm sure he tries hard. I'm sure he means well.
He does all right for himself.
Yeah, he's got a boss.
But besides that, there's a nun you can rescue from Hypogean Goal, which is the area you get kidnapped to.
Oh, okay.
It's very close to where you get kidnapped to, like outside your cell. You can like go down some stairs.
Okay.
And if you're dressed at least a little bit like a church person, she'll be like, "Oh, sup? Where's somewhere safe I can go?"
What clothes do I need for that?
Any church garb.
I don't know if I have any of that.
You should have a white church set and a black church set you found somewhere.
Nope.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think so.
You might be able to fight. You might be able to wear some of the Father Castiglione's.
Castiglione. Yeah, I have some of that.
You might be able to wear some of his armor, and that might work.
I have some of that. I think I have that whole set actually. But yeah, I think I'm gonna do it mostly because at this point, this is the farthest I've ever gotten in a Souls game.
Yep.
I've only, I think Dark Souls 2, I beat 4 bosses.
Yeah, but that's out of like 35.
Right. So I probably got there a while ago in terms of ratio of bosses to game. So I think I'm just gonna go for it. I'm like level 50. Sure.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not inappropriate.
Yeah.
Level.
I'm gonna roll with it. I think my dog's gonna bark now.
Right now?
Oh, no, we're good.
Yeah, and there's also the other NPC. You can rescue the old lady, you can rescue the nun, and you can rescue a character who is sometimes called the Whore. She lives in near the cathedral, near the central cathedral, or the grand cathedral.
Okay.
So, I don't know if...
I haven't rescued a single person, so...
really?
Yeah. When could you? Ever?
All the time. Once after you talk to the person... after you talk to the person inside Odeon Cathedral, like the weird lumpy person.
Oh yeah, she's lumpy. She's gross.
After that, anyone you talk to, there are certain people who will be like, I need somewhere safe to go, and you can be like, go to Odeon Cathedral. It's safe there.
So, you're telling me that I need to go back to like Central Yarnum or whatever and go around and talking to all the NPCs again?
You don't have to. No. And there's only the three people I just mentioned. One of them is behind a door.
Okay.
The old lady's behind the door. Ariana, the whore, is behind the door, and the nun you can just find like praying in a corner somewhere in that prison place.
Okay.
Place.
What about the tiny music box quest? Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do know about that now. That's over as far as I know.
Oh, it's done.
And there's also this whole chain of events with Eileen the Crow, but I can almost guarantee you've already messed that up because every single person who plays this game messes it up.
Oh, okay, sure.
Like to the point that it's like a really big. It's like basically a meme status. How impossible it is to do her quest.
Oh, good. Okay,
because you need to like meet her in like really weird places at certain times. Otherwise, like if you miss any of this stuff, she'll just be like, "Well, I'm just gonna kill you then."
Oh, but that's like a boss that I could not fight if I didn't fuck it up. But I definitely fucked it up.
It's not a boss. She's just a hunter lady.
Oh, okay.
And it's like she's pretty hard, so having to not fight her, and she's also like the leader of a covenant or something.
Are there any of those in this game? Like
there are 3 covenants in this game. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I haven't seen any mention of them.
Yeah, it's weird. There's not like 100 of them like in previous Souls games.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
a little bit of a different dynamic in this one. But yeah, she's supposedly the leader of a covenant. They all seem to be based on. They're all based on interactions with other players, and there seems to be a heavy PvP emphasis.
Oh,
like,
okay.
2 of them are kind of in direct, like, conflict with each other. So supposedly, if you're the member of one of them, and then someone summons you into their game, you get summoned in as a red phantom and try and kill them.
Oh, because they're part of that one faction.
Yeah, basically so that guy Alfred is a member of the Assassins or something? Executioners.
Uh-huh.
And he lives to... Like, the Executioners exist to just kill all the vile bloods.
Oh, sure.
And as present, there's only one of those left.
Uh-huh.
Hidden somewhere, and you can meet her.
Yep.
And supposedly, if you're part of... If the Executioners, which is a covenant, and I don't exactly know how to join it because I thought I was doing the right thing, and then the guy inexplicably turned up dead somewhere.
Oh, fuck. All right.
Supposedly, if you're an Executioner and a vile blood summons you into their game, you just start fighting them. Which is, I think it's really interesting.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, but also that Alfred guy, when he eventually dies through the story, he drops a sweet rune that's like, it fills the 4th rune slot.
Oh,
and
good.
It makes blood vials recover more.
Oh, I want that.
Yeah, you should... How do I get that? How'd you get that?
I want that bad.
It's after... You have to do this optional area that's kind of sucky. Oh, you have to go into the back of the clinic, and you'll find an item called the Canehurst Summons.
Uh-huh.
And then you can go to the area near the Witches of Hemwick and go to that area. And the boss there kind of sucks, but I think he's also a really cool boss.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite bosses in the game, but he's hard as nuts.
Hard as nuts.
That whole area is not easy, but I think you should probably be prepared for it, and it might be worth it, honestly. There's some cool stuff in there, including some... I think you can start getting bloodstone chunks there.
Uh-huh.
Which means you can get your weapon up to +9, potentially.
Yeah.
And then that rune that makes you good at healing.
Oh, good. That one.
That one. That's probably worth it in and of itself. So I too played Bloodborne, and as you can tell, I'm not an expert, but I absorbed a lot of knowledge about Bloodborne because I found that I needed it to help me understand and beat the game.
Uh-huh.
And I have not beaten the game, but I've beaten every boss besides the final boss.
Oh shit!
And I don't know if I'll ever. I'm sure I will eventually, but as soon as you beat the final boss, you get kicked to New Game Plus.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a shitty feature that I don't like.
Oh yeah.
And I'm not looking forward. I want to. Like, I got chalice dungeons and stuff to do if I want to.
Uh-huh.
And I don't really feel like getting kicked to New Game Plus yet.
Yeah, I feel you.
I spend a lot of time getting all the items I have, and I want to use them for a second. So I'm not going to be the final boss yet. I set myself up for the best ending.
Mm-hmm.
And I beat... Besides, there are certain bosses that are only in the challenge dungeons, but I beat every other boss besides that, including towards the end of the game. Some of the required bosses, like the second to last boss, yeah, I just beat on my first try.
Really?
Which either I might be a little bit over leveled, but probably not that much. I want to say I'm level 86.
Oh, that's
somewhere mid 80s.
That's pretty high.
Yeah, but you're already level 50, and I would say the boss you're about to fight is the halfway point. Or no, that's not entirely true.
So that's perfect? Then?
Yeah, I think if anything, you're a little bit ahead of the curve, but so I might be too. I haven't been able to find a comprehensive list of people say you should be this level sort of thing when you beat the game. I'm curious to learn that sort of information because I feel like I was a little bit ahead of the curve the whole game because there were a couple different bosses that I beat on my first try.
Yeah.
Which is not something I'm used to happening in those games.
Yeah, the amount of bosses where you're like, oh yeah, I one-shotted that guy. And I'm like, oh, really? Shit.
One shot means I hit him once and he died.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah. Like the Shadow of Yharnam, I was straight up afraid of that boss. I was like, this is going to be... the multiple part bosses are historically the worst Souls bosses.
I thought that was going to be the point where I quit the game.
I was seriously... I was feeling dread and anxiety.
Yeah.
And I beat them on my first try.
Yep.
I couldn't... it didn't even make me that happy. I was just like, oh, cool. Well, I guess I'll just keep playing then.
Yeah, no, I beat them on my fourth go. Which
I also never had to summon anybody.
Every time even though at
a certain point I tried to.
I tried to summon people for Vicar Amelia and nobody ever showed up ever. But I could get people to show up by the other lantern and then they just go another way and I'm like, no, and I point towards the door I want to go through and then they just quit or something. So it sucks.
Which way did they try and go?
So you know how when you're at the lantern you can go straight, left, or right?
Yeah.
Most of the time they went right.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't even think... Oh, I don't actually know where the boundaries are. Because you can only get summoned into an area to fight the boss.
Uh-huh.
So I think the bosses that are up there... First of all, you don't have the key to get to any of the bosses yet.
Uh-huh.
But the bosses that are up there, I'm pretty sure, are going to be blocked off.
Oh, yeah.
And then you can't summon anyone in that area until you... once Vicar Amelia has been beaten, you can't summon anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really like that game, though.
I'm scared. Basically.
You should be.
I'm like, oh, I'm just going to get this is only going to get harder, and this is only going to get like this is going to get the worst.
I actually found that wasn't. I kind of had the same expectation, and I found that wasn't true.
Mm-hmm.
Once I was good at the game, like once I had the game figured out, and all like the dodging and weapon mechanics and like the backstabbing and gun riposting stuff. Once I had that all figured out, I thought it just got easier. The areas seemed to get harder, and like the enemies seemed to get like scarier.
Mm-hmm.
But that was just because it was just fear of the unknown. And then once I just kind of said like, well, I mean, there are some areas coming up that just straight suck.
Yeah, totally.
The unseen village that you're going to be going to pretty soon, that's part of that the Hypogean Gaul is part of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That first area, there's a bunch of bell maidens that like summon enemies. That part like made me so frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even the boss. At a certain point, it wasn't even about the bosses. And then you get to like the kind of the last area, the Nightmare of Mensis, and there was this whole thing like that. It mostly had to do with frenzy, so that's why I struggled with it.
Oh.
I think you should have a better shot, but holy crap, that area like almost defeated me.
Fuck.
Like I obviously wasn't going to give up, but I was like, so I was like, this is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But it's an overcomable obstacle. Like it's not impossible.
Yeah, I'm scared though.
That game's really good. It's probably my favorite game of the year so far.
This is probably the game I care the most about this year.
What's your game of the year so far?
I don't have one.
All right, well then it's Bloodborne.
Yeah, it's sort of like those elections where like there's only one guy.
You're running unopposed.
Yeah, pretty much.
I'm trying to think of all the games I played that came out this year, besides like all the iOS games.
Yeah, I mean that's probably not true. I mean, fucking, I like other games. What the fuck did I play this year? Jesus,
I have no idea what even came out this year.
Yeah, I can't remember. Anyway,
so far the only ones I can think of are this year I've played Bloodborne and Honey Pop.
Yeah, those. So it's Honey Pop, right?
Maybe.
Yeah.
That game's different.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I also played...
What'd you play?
Came out yesterday. No, well, now it's Thursday. Came out on Tuesday. Dark Souls 2.
Oh, shit.
Scholar of the First Sin.
Oh, shit.
Apparently, I'm bad at Dark Souls.
Sure. Yeah.
I got really good at Bloodborne.
So now you...
And so that made me bad at Dark Souls.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because maybe it's because I was just used to not having a shield.
Yeah.
So I like didn't like I wasn't used to using it, so I didn't want to use it, or I didn't use it.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest problem was that the dodge is not the same.
Yeah.
So like you have a pretty generous window for dodging attacks in Bloodborne,
mm-hmm.
I find.
Mm-hmm.
And unless you're like, and like there's no slow, like there's a fat roll, but it's pretty much just, there's no like light roll in Dark Souls 2. Your weight, the equipment weight is handled in like the craziest way. It's like so intricate with like, it like affects your roll distance
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and your stamina recovery speed depending on the percentage of the total you have like weighed down. It's way too complicated. But my starting guy I wasn't like fat rolling, like I didn't have like an excessive amount of equipment, but my roll was just not what I had come to expect from playing Bloodborne. So I was really struggling. The other thing is like post-attack delays in Dark Souls 2 are massive.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe it's because the weapon I was using, I would like swing a halberd and like after the attack, I'd just be mashing the dodge button, and he'd be like, "Huh? You want me to dodge?" And he'd already get like blindsided. I literally like didn't, and stamina gets used up so quickly. Like every time I swung, it was probably just because of the weapon I'm using, honestly.
Probably, yeah.
But every time I swung, I used so much stamina. Like I'd like block an attack and then swing, and then I'd have 0 stamina, and I had to like wait for it all to fill up again. If I had to dodge any point while waiting for it to fill up, I was basically back down to 0. It's gonna take some getting used to, but I think I may have already done it. I just played like a crap load last night.
Yeah,
and I'm getting there. I'm definitely appreciating not having to grind for healing items again.
Yeah, I mean, fucking, like, I hate that.
It's just a great feature.
Yeah, no, I hate that. I don't like. That's the one part where Vicar Amelia really just fucking got on my nerves, because I would have to like go grind out healing items every single pull.
Pull.
Yeah, pull. It's a pull.
It's not a pull.
It is a pull.
This isn't WoW.
It is though.
Yeah. So the whole healing item thing was, that was a big deal for me too when I was playing Bloodborne. And that was like, there'd be certain bosses that I would just be like struggling against, and I'd be really pissed off, and I want to just keep fighting them, and I just couldn't. I need to go grind out healing items, which only takes like 2 or 3 minutes to get up to 20 again. I found if you do it the way I did it.
Yeah.
Also, at a certain point, I needed like 30,000 souls to level up. So, not knowing what was going to happen next, I would spend as many souls as I could to level up, and then just spend the rest of them on blood vials.
Yeah.
And then I'd go in with 0, and I wouldn't risk losing anything. And once I started doing that, I had more blood vials than I could ever possibly need. But that was pretty close to the end.
So what I actually started doing, which is working out really well for me, is every time I have leftover souls when I level up, is I buy blood vials. And I'm at the point now.
So exactly what I just described.
Yeah, but
cool.
way earlier. So I guess that's good. But I'm at the point now where I'm maxed out.
Yeah, that happened to me once.
Yeah.
Don't worry. You'll get back down to 0.
Yeah, I know. But now I just buy Molotovs. So that's good.
Yeah, that's not a terrible use for it.
Yeah. Because I often end up with, like, I don't know, 7,000 souls left over every time I level at this point. So I'm just like, well, that's like 6 Molotovs. Here we go.
So, so I do appreciate having the Estus flask back, having a regenerating healing item. Unfortunately, it takes an hour and a half to drink it even once.
Yeah.
And, there's a stat that you can increase to make it take less time. But I was looking at the numbers of like, oh, well, if you get it to 100 agility, then you'll save like 30 frames. It's like, oh, wow, 30 frames. Also, Dark Souls 2 Skull of the First Sin, at least on Xbox One, runs at 60 frames per second. And my eyeballs were not ready to see Dark Souls in 60 frames per second.
Right.
It looks insane.
Does it?
It looks really good.
You know what I heard about that game?
What?
That re-release? They were like, apparently weapon durability is tied to frames. So like now
I heard a little bit about that.
Yeah, now that the game is twice as fast, your weapons like degrade twice as fast as well.
I actually was having a problem with my weapon durability. The aforementioned halberd. Like, I went through this particularly long area, and I used a backup weapon the whole time because I didn't want my halberd to break before the boss.
Right.
And I got to like the couple of enemies right before the boss, like 3 or 4 enemies. After I was done fighting them, I had lost like half durability.
Oh.
And not enough to like break it before the boss actually happened, but I was like, how the hell did that happen? I think there's a glitch with it.
Probably.
It doesn't happen all the time. Like, I've been watching the bar more closely. It doesn't seem like it's consistently just going down a lot, but I think like sometimes, I think maybe the frame rate has something to do with it.
Yeah.
I think like sometimes when the frame rate like glitches out just a tiny bit, like it hitches or something, it messes everything up. I don't know, but it seems the durability is like insane how quickly it's going down.
Yeah.
Although, so I like the healing items coming back, but there's a whole set of things in the second game, Dark Souls 2, that you have to like go and find to make that healing item better.
Yep.
There's certain items that make it heal more, and certain items that give you more per resting at a bonfire. And they changed like the location of every single one of those for the Scholar of the First Sin.
Oh,
edition.
really? That's interesting.
Yeah, they actually changed a lot of stuff. They changed enemy placements. They moved important items. They changed enemy placements in like the craziest way. Like it almost feels like Dark Souls 2 remix.
That's really cool.
All the maps are the same.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I would say areas are like a little bit easier. Almost. Like there are certain areas I remember being particularly frustrating because there were like a lot of hard enemies that attacked you at once. Well, there's one area that's notably, and I think it's intentionally a lot harder because I think it was kind of easy the first time around.
Yeah.
Like, it's not supposed to, like it is an area that you can easily do first, but I don't think it was meant to be done first. So they made it a little bit harder to be like, hey, maybe you should go the other path first. And I'm kind of digging it because it's not just a like it's not just playing the same game again. I'm kind of having the Dark Souls 2 experience again.
Yeah, that's really neat.
Because I know where to go, but everything is different, so it's like almost like playing a whole new game. And then I have to still do that whole thing where I look up where to find and like plan out a route to get all those healing items as quickly as possible, because that's just going to make my game that much easier to play.
Right.
And it's cool. Like I thought it was just going to be a re-release and like it was going to be updated graphics, like be like up-resed. But it's 60 frames a second, and it's like everything is remixed, and I'm super happy with it.
That's tight as fuck.
They moved things like there's this item that lets you enchant your weapons to make them do fire damage, lightning damage, etc. That used to be in the most retarded place ever. It was like down the very end of one of the paths.
Yeah.
Because there's like 4 different paths you can travel down at the beginning of the game. And then after you beat the bosses at the end of those, you unlock like the final path that's even harder. And at the end of one of those paths, there's like a super missable ledge you can like jump to and then like fall down and go through a door, and then you find this item that lets you enchant weapons. They just give you that shit like way earlier now, which I think that how long it took to get that thing in the first game was literally, it was not a interesting design choice, it was a mistake as far as I'm concerned.
Really?
That's how I feel about it. Because like certain builds and things like really need that to be effective, and having to make them go all that way to get them, I think, just not a great idea.
Yeah.
I'll talk more about that next week. I'm sure I'm going to keep playing it because I really like that game. Although I think so with all these Souls games flying around.
Yeah, right.
They talk about like. I've heard talk multiple places about like which, is this the game to get into the Soul series on or whatever? Like if I don't like Souls games, am I gonna like this game?
No.
My advice to everyone. Okay, so if you've played Soul games before and you go, oh, I hate everything about them inherently,
right?
And you're like, the very thought of losing to a boss and then fighting the same like 8 enemies over and over again until I beat them, like makes me want to rip my eyes out after the second try.
Yeah.
You probably shouldn't.
Right.
But if you're like, oh no, I'm open to trying it. I think between these two games, I think Bloodborne is the one to go with.
I mean, just taking myself as an example, Bloodborne's the only Souls game I've made any significant progress in.
Well, it's interesting because when Dark Souls 2 came out, you made the observation that you didn't like as much as the first one.
Yep.
Because you thought that enemy placements were more random.
It felt that way, yeah.
I feel like that's way more true about Bloodborne because the enemies patrolling and stuff like that.
For whatever reason, it doesn't bother me.
Like at a certain point in the game, there's this area where these humanoid people. Mm-hmm. Literally, like, as you spawn into the area, they spawn in one area, and then they walk to another part and wait there. Mm-hmm. And, like, if you just wait 5 seconds before running, they're already in their final resting place, and they'll just stay there.
Right.
But if you just, like, get up and just run, you'll run directly into them, and they will beat the crap out of you.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, that's an interesting design choice.
Yeah, right?
It's like, I don't know why they didn't just put them in the place they're supposed to go. That was actually something I find a little bit frustrating about Bloodborne. Mm-hmm. But Dark Souls 2 is the best about it. And just enemies are here all the time. No one moves. They've got aggro ranges. I've also found in Bloodborne, carrying a torch can make enemies aggro sooner.
Yep, I think that's true.
Especially beasts.
Yeah, I think that's true.
Like, I was in this, like, dark room with some beasts, and, like, one looked at me. Mm-hmm. I was like, I pulled out my torch, and then he just started running for me.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it, it makes sense.
Definitely.
So I was thinking about this yesterday, and I'm pretty sure what would make a Souls game of the year for me is if it was just Shadow of the Colossus. But, like, hardest...
Just bosses?
Yes. Because the only part that I really, truly love about this game is the part where you fight bosses, and then the part where you win, and then the part where you have so many endorphins that fire off in your brain after you beat a hard boss. The part I hate about this game is all of the areas that you have to go in and the stupid enemies. Because it just seems like fucking bullshit to waste time in between bosses.
I don't think so. I think it's an important part of balancing the way the game plays, because you need to fight the enemies to get souls, and they present you with their own unique challenges, and there's items to find. It's all about exploring the areas and finding items.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
I don't know.
I think it's an important part of it, and the level design is such a huge element to those games.
It just doesn't feel... I don't feel as good when I get through a hard area of Bloodborne as I do when I beat a boss.
Well, that's what... I think that's... If you were just beating bosses, I don't think they would have felt as good. Because, like, when you beat the Shadow of Yharnam, you'd be like, oh my god, I don't ever have to go back to that goddamn level again.
Yeah, that's true. That's the only thing I thought. I wasn't like, oh cool, I beat this boss. I was like, oh cool, I never have to go back to the Forbidden Woods ever again.
Even though that's not true, because I just told you to go to the place.
Yeah, you did.
But I think it's an important balance. It's
I guess.
Like something important about the game that they achieve that.
Sure.
So, like I was saying about... Bloodborne can be kind of sucky sometimes. You have to grind for items or whatever.
Yep.
But ultimately, you can just keep dying in that game. The thing that I think makes Dark Souls 2 bad for beginners is that element that every time you die, you go a little bit more hollow.
Yep.
And you lose 5% of your max health, up to 50% of your max health.
That's why I stopped playing that game. Because
that element kind of sucks. Like, in a bad way.
I don't think there's anything remotely redeeming about that, besides creating an extra layer of difficulty.
Yeah, but that's not even difficulty. That's like an extra level of, like... which makes you feel bad. Like, it's
frustrating. Yeah,
it's like, oh, you're bad at this game. Oh well, now you have 5% less health, so you're worse now.
Right, and if you die 10 times, you're fucked.
And then if you can recover your max health back using a human effigy, but those are limited. It's hard to, at least in the original version, it's hard to grind them. Although they did at some point add a patch where if you helped someone beat a boss, you became human fully again.
That's nice.
That's I think that almost redeems the entire feature.
Yeah.
But for people who have never played a Souls game, really, Dark Souls 2 is not the place to jump on the bandwagon.
No,
That being said, like, you might have the same experience I had where you played Bloodborne, get good at it, and go, I really like Souls games. I'm going to play Dark Souls 2 now. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be good at Dark Souls 2. And you're going to die, and you're going to lose health, and it's going to be frustrating.
I would probably pick Dark Souls 1.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking in a more modern sense.
Yeah,
like if you're like, I want to play one of these new ones that just came out.
Oh, sure.
Dark Souls 1 is still my favorite. I think it's less accessible because there's so many ways. Like, you just go into that graveyard at the beginning of the game and just die repeatedly, and you just go. So many people like go there and they say, "Oh wow, well I knew this game was hard. I didn't know it was that hard," and they think that that's the right way, and they're just bad.
Yeah, that would have been something I would have done.
That happens to a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you're ideal first experience, I think for new players, be Dark Souls 1 with a light guide, just to point you in the right direction.
I would kill for a really simple map that was just it tells you very simply how to get from the area you're in now to the area you should go.
Yeah, I bet those exist somewhere.
I don't want to know all the secrets because I like to find those organically, but
yeah,
I just want to know
don't go to the graveyard.
You're in, I don't know, like that first area where you can make a decision where to go. Like there's like I think 3 options. Is that correct?
I think there's only 2.
Okay, so there's 2. So they should tell you, because I know you're supposed to go like to the right and then up.
Mm-hmm. And you go
mountain.
like you can go like towards the church, but the elevator doesn't work until you've brought it down the opposite way.
Yeah, so there should be a map that says you are here, you are at this bonfire, go up this way, and then that's the correct path. And they're like, okay, cool, I want that to exist. I'm sure it does.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to play that game.
Yep.
I think people just getting into those games, that game is weird, but
yeah,
it's like really weird, but
it is.
It's a really good game. There's a lot of modern type quality of life things that are missing from that game, but
well, it's old too. It's like, what is it, 2010?
Or 2009.
Yeah. I mean, that's
not really that old.
It's pushing 6 years, dude. It's like,
dude, it's like Super Mario 64 at that rate.
I know. Shit.
Yeah, but Souls games aren't for everyone.
No, that's true. That's definitely true.
All of these games are good. I think Bloodborne is a really solid entry in the series that changes things in interesting ways without like breaking anything.
Yeah, I want to beat Bloodborne and then probably never beat a Souls game ever again. But hey, whatever.
Well, we'll see. Demon Souls 2 comes out.
Is that going to happen? I want that to happen.
I don't know. Supposedly, there are certain people on the internet who think that Bloodborne is literally Demon Souls 2.
I could see that argument.
Based on lore reasons.
Okay.
I may have mentioned that already.
I don't think so.
Oh, well. Ryan, what's the other game you played this week?
Super Mario RPG.
Okay. Yeah, you did already talk about that.
Yeah, it did.
I have no sense of how long we've actually been recording a podcast for.
Long enough. I think
we talked about Bloodborne for a while again.
Sorry. I think we should talk about news.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Yep.
I also played Pokemon Alpha Sapphire.
Oh yeah, that's
Alpha
a game.
Sapphire. But I might just save that for next week because I'm going to keep playing that game.
Yeah, I think you should. Do that.
I wanted to get into a discussion with you about why people hate Generation 3. But I want you to just write it down.
Okay.
We're going to talk about it next week.
Okay. Yeah, I think next week we should try to talk about Bloodborne less. Just on the whole.
I stopped playing that game, so
that'll be easy for you.
I'm not going to talk about Bloodborne at all next week, really.
Yeah, okay.
Well, last week was the week that I made the most progress in it. I had been really slow going until last week, and then I just suddenly was like, oh, this is how you play this game, and just went through it, just flew through it.
Beat the ever-loving shit out of it.
I did.
Yeah.
It's like I said, there was like at least 3 or 4 bosses I beat on my first try.
Yeah.
And I dominated that game.
Mm-hmm. News.
News. So, remember that game? Oh, by the way, I looked up a list of 2015 games.
Oh, did you? That's good.
Grow Home.
Oh, I beat that.
Did you like that game?
Yeah, that's
Game of the Year?
Game of the Year.
Really?
2015, Game of the Year. Yep.
Oh, shit. What about Resident Evil Revelations?
Didn't play it.
What about BioShock Infinite on Linux?
No.
Ori and the Blind Forest.
Not Game of the Year.
Hotline Miami 2, wrong number.
Didn't play it.
Scream Ride.
What's that?
It's a Xbox One game where you ride a roller coaster or something.
No.
Five Nights at Freddy's 3.
Didn't play it.
Dragon Ball Z Xenoverse.
Kind of thought about buying it, but then didn't.
It just seems alright.
Yeah, it seems fine.
Roundabout, I think, made it come out earlier this year.
Don't know what that is.
It's a game where you play as a limousine that's constantly spinning.
Nope.
And it's just full of full motion video.
Sounds gross.
It sounds pretty awesome, actually.
Okay.
Pokemon Shuffle. It's not Game of the Year. Monster Hunter 4 Ultimate.
Oh, no, I didn't play that
Game
enough.
of the Year.
Yeah, I didn't play that enough. I want to play that more.
Evolve.
I literally played it for about 20 minutes. And also, nobody's playing that game anymore. It's done.
That's not true.
Apotheon? I think I got that for free on Xbox.
Yep. No, you got it for free on PlayStation.
Either way.
Criminal Girls Invite Only.
Oh, that's it. Game of the Year 2015.
That's a bad game.
I don't know what that is.
Hashtag iDarb. Oh, Criminal Girls it's like a dungeon crawler with 7 girls that like represent the 7 deadly sins, and then you spank them.
That sounds real dumb.
Yeah, thank you, Nippon Ichi Software, for bringing us this.
Oh, iDarb?
How about hashtag iDarb?
That game is fun.
How about Life is Strange?
What? I don't know what that is.
Life is Strange is that game that's like Gone Home plus time travel.
I don't know. Whatever. Gone Home.
Dying Light.
Didn't play it.
Grim Fandango Remastered.
Didn't play it.
Citizen of Earth.
Bought it. Want to play it. Didn't play it.
Because it's Earthbound 2?
Yep.
Funk of Titans.
What?
Exactly.
Okay.
And then I think that's pretty much it.
All right, Game of the Year, Grow Home. Number 2, Ori.
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne. No, Bloodborne's not number 2.
Ori?
Both of those games make me really mad.
It's not least infuriating Game of the Year.
So far, it is. So far.
Mario Party 10.
I bought it, haven't played it, because I don't have any friends.
Oh, that's sad. Codename Steam.
Didn't buy it.
Tokyo Twilight Ghost Hunters. What is that game?
Never heard of that.
Oh, it's a PS Vita game with Animu cover.
Oh.
So,
well,
it's
that's
one of those games.
That's the
City Skyline.
Oh, that's a good game. That's number 3.
Shut the
Hey, man. We have different priorities and tastes. That's why we make a good and dynamic podcast.
Yeah, sure. Right now, my list is
Honey Pop.
Oh. And then Honey Pop.
Oh, see? All right. Where is Paula Dean's Recipe Quest? Tell me now.
11.
Great. Okay, good. It made the list.
I've only played like 4 games that came out this year. Okay, so...
News.
Five Nights at Freddy's. You ever heard of that game series?
Yeah, that's the one where I played the first one and then I threw my keyboard across the room.
Yeah, because someone peer pressured you into buying it while you were drunk.
Yep.
And it didn't take very much.
Nope.
So, this could be a movie.
What?
Yep.
That makes sense.
Yep. Well, based on the cultural phenomena that it's become, it's like right up there with like Minecraft.
Yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, people like that game. Also, I feel like if they don't cash in on this hype train now, no one ever will. It'll be too late. So this is a good time for this.
The developer's already cashing in the hype train by releasing the third one already.
I know. It's great.
Which I've watched some Let's Play and whatever. Seems way different.
Yeah.
But still interesting. Mm-hmm. I think at this point, like, it's got to die here.
Oh, yeah. I think he officially said he's done making that game.
Okay, good. Because at this point, you know, like, the first game was just really, like, basic, and then the second one really expanded on the lore of it in a way that was super fascinating, and then this one, they strive to, like, do the gameplay differently, and at this point, there's nowhere else to go.
Well, yeah. No, I think the lore of that game is super interesting, and just, yeah. I wish I could play that game just to like experience the lore, but then at the same time, it's like I know it all already. So whatever.
Yeah.
Oh. I just wonder where that movie's going to take place. Like, is it going to be, an overarching story that starts in the beginning and then goes all the way through to the third one? And it's sort of
how will it be shot? Like, is it going to be?
It's going to be point of view of a guy sitting in a chair the whole time.
That'd be incredible if the entire movie played out like that.
I honestly hope it does. That would be super interesting.
They at least have to have shots of it. They could have like flashback sequences and stuff, maybe.
Oh yeah, they could totally do that. But if that game primarily, or that if that movie primarily took place in that chair, that would be fucking dope.
Here's another bit of news. You want that Nintendo news now?
Hell yeah, I do.
So, you remember that game Fantasy Life?
Yep, I bought that, didn't play it.
Why'd you buy that?
I thought it was going to be a fun RPG, and then I just didn't have time for it.
Okay. You remember that game Professor Layton?
Yeah.
Both of those games are getting the next entry in those series, because Fantasy Life is a new series, but
yep,
the year is 2015, and there's no such thing as a one-off game anymore.
Oh, that's true, yeah.
Like, hey, we made a new IP. It's like, okay, well, you make the first game, and you guys start working on the sequel.
Right.
Both of those games, the next entry in their lineage is coming to mobile.
Oh?
It's not going to be... It doesn't sound like it's going to be like... they're not going to try and have it just be the same game, or like... It's not going to be Fantasy Life 2 exclusively for iOS. It's not going to like try and play like Fantasy Life 1 did. Mm-hmm. It seems like it's going to be like some early screenshots show it's more of like a Clash of Clans base management kind of thing. Not necessarily with all the free-to-play stuff, but...
That sounds icky.
It's going to be more like that stuff. I mean, it hasn't even announced it's coming out over here. It's all Japanese stuff.
Whatever.
So I can see why that might be like appealing to a different market. But
yeah, sure.
Professor Layton, I didn't really see the specifics, but it looks like it's like a card-based game or something.
What?
It's not going to be a straight up like adventure, like point and click, talk to people, like solve puzzles thing.
You know where that would work?
There'll be puzzles.
You know where that would work really well? On a fucking phone. Why don't they just make that game?
Yeah, I feel like, I mean, if they keep those, they gotta at least have some puzzles in there. I feel like there's a lot of puzzles they could specifically make for the phone that would work really well.
Isn't that game only puzzles?
No, there's a story, and like I said, you're like talking to people and going to certain places.
Okay.
But yeah, there's a lot of puzzles. That's like kind of the point. I think that one has potential. That could actually work out.
All right.
Especially depending on how much they're going to, we'll see what they want to charge for it.
I've never liked a Layton game, so whatever.
I never felt the need to pay $30 or $40 for a Layton game.
I think the only one I ever played, I downloaded as a ROM. Oops.
Although I did pay full price for Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright, and then never played it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I thought it was a super exciting prospect, and I thought you were
going to be all about it.
Well, so what happened is that I started playing it, and then I realized I had never actually finished Phoenix Wright 5.
So you just didn't.
So I did that, and then afterwards, like, I got distracted by another new game, or I was kind of just burnt out on that.
Yeah.
I need to go back to it soon, though, because I thought that was a super interesting concept.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Do you remember On Live?
Yeah, I do, actually.
Well, you better just fucking forget about it, because that shit's dead.
That shit was already dead, wasn't it?
No, it was still running.
Was it?
Like, you could still use it for games you'd already bought. I don't think they were like really like adding a lot of new content or anything, but they're canceling the service.
Good.
And all the patents and stuff are moving to Sony.
Oh, weird.
Because Sony bought them, maybe because their technology might help them do PlayStation. What's that thing called? The streaming one.
PlayStation Now, I think.
Yeah, it probably because the tech might help them do PlayStation Now a little bit better. Or On Live 2 by Sony. I don't know.
No, or they're buying it to prevent anybody else from doing what they're doing.
Well, they didn't buy them out.
Sure, they did.
No, they just like online was said like, oh well, we have to shut down because we're not making enough money to like maintain servers and shit.
Yeah.
And Sony was like, hey, what are you gonna do with all those patents? They're like, I don't know, like throw them out. They're like, how about I give you like, he, like reaches into his pocket and they're like,
it's like $5. Is that
$25,000?
Is $5 good? Is that
like,
enough?
Yeah, I mean, I was just gonna throw them out, so that's cool. It's like a yard sale basically for patents. And here's the thing about OnLive shutting down. If you're an OnLive subscriber or whatever, and you have bought like games through that you've been playing, it's at the end of April. It's going to shut down, and all you get is a big old middle finger.
Really?
Yeah. There's no compensation for not being able to play the games that you own anymore. This is the reality of the age we live in. Like at a certain point, all 500 of my Steam games are not going to be playable anymore.
But realistically, this is like the first time this has ever happened.
Yeah. But, it's just a vision of the future. The thing I mentioned about Steam just now is a little bit crazy because it's freaking Steam.
Right.
But I don't
know. Valve prints money, so they're going to be fine. But
they'll be fine for a lot longer.
Yeah.
But at a certain point, you know how these things go.
Yeah, shit happens, man.
Look at what happened to MySpace.
I still have a MySpace.
At a certain point, you're like, dude, MySpace is bulletproof.
Yo.
And then now look at them.
Dead.
All I need is like, yeah, I mean, like if you own a bunch of games on Disura, I would be more worried than your games on Steam.
I don't think I own anything on Disura.
I've got some stuff I bought in bundles, but I also own the DRM-free copy of them.
Yeah, I feel like that's the way to go with a lot of this shit is to go get like a Humble bundle and get DRM-free copies.
But even then, if Humble stops distributing that and you don't have them downloaded...
Oh, you're fucked. Yeah,
you can't access them anymore. I mean, like, if you still have them downloaded, or like, then you're like, oh, I have to reinstall my operating system, and the Humble Bundle doesn't run anymore, so...
Well, that's why you keep meticulous backups of everything you own.
Yeah, until the hard drives fail.
Shh.
This is one of, like, there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, we're all fucked.
We just have to hope.
We're all fucked.
Buy physical when we can, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Even though at a certain point, like, there's a chance that you could, like, put a game in your Xbox One and it just goes, like, yeah, those services don't work anymore or whatever, so you can't play this game.
Yeah, like, what happens when, like, they shut down something where, like, they host, like, old 360 game update files, and you buy an old, used 360 game, and it's like, we can't update this game.
Then you just have to play it on version 1.0 with all the game-breaking bugs.
Great. This new age of video games really scares me.
Yeah, they've kind of, like, at a certain point, every single building, every single square foot of the entire world will just be taken up by servers.
Great.
Because they can't shut down the old ones.
Great.
They're just going to have to make new ones.
No, that sounds awesome. Let's just do that. Let's just all become servers. We'll all hop into the Tron Megaverse.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
And just never look
Olivia
back.
Wilde going to be there?
Yeah, we can all have sex with her.
Whoa. That's not what I was asking.
Are you sure?
Yep.
Okay.
I was also wondering if I could become Jeff Bridges.
Also possible. Possible.
Sweet. Yeah, it's a crazy thing. Like, this is just, I think this is a vision of the future, and it makes me a little bit uneasy.
Yeah, I'm scared, for sure.
But we'll see. So remember last week we were talking about The Binding of Isaac Rebirth?
Yep.
That game, as I posted an article about it.
I saw that.
On bearvsman.com.
That's true. That's a website.
The Binding of Isaac Rebirth is definitely coming to Xbox One and new 3DS.
Definitely?
Definitely.
Oh, shit.
It is the second game ever to need a new 3DS. If you try and play it on your old 3DS, it will not work. Just like Xenosaga or whatever. Xenoblade Chronicles.
I want to get that. Oh, that comes out tomorrow. Remember when there were rumors that Binding of Isaac was going to show up on 3DS and then it never happened?
They were just rumors.
I wonder if it was the case where he was like the guy who made it, Edmund McMillan, was like, I want to put this game on here, but there's not enough processing power.
Yeah, it was this weird thing.
I wonder if that's the
case. Now
case.
It's remade.
Yeah.
The original game played in Flash, and now this runs in a different infrastructure that I don't fully understand. I think the processing power has a lot to do with it. The major thing holding it back from being on Nintendo consoles were the very strange nature of that game, between the religious elements and like the little boy penises and like
I heard
implications of like murder and abuse and insanity and
but apparently it's not being censored in any way.
Yeah, Nintendo's just nutting up.
That's good. I want them to nut up frequently.
Yeah, I do too. I don't know exactly what happened, what changed, that they're just like, hey, we can totally just do it now, because who cares? Yeah. But they did that. So and it's crazy that it's like the two games that you need a new 3DS to play are a remake of a Wii game in 3D and B, a remake of a Flash game.
Yup.
And it's like, that's the craziest damn thing. It just shows that I know absolutely nothing about hardware.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah, same here. Fuck. It's a weird world we live in.
Yeah, video games is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And yesterday, I guess they announced a new Deus Ex game.
What's that?
Remember Deus Ex? It's like, there's that game with a guy with a beard, and he never asked for this. And
No.
It was like part robot, and it like came out like 6 years ago or something.
Nope. No clue.
Really?
Yep.
You have no idea what I'm talking about?
Nope.
Wow. Okay. I'm sorry if it said anything then.
Let me just scratch that one off the list. Fuck that. Okay, here we go.
It's called Mankind Divided. It seems to be a sequel to the one that came out not last year, but a couple years ago, called Human Revolution. Came out in 2011. Sequel to the first one came out in the year 2000. It was called Deus Ex. And then you had Invisible War in 2003.
Oh, sweet.
You really never heard of any of these, huh?
Nope.
Yeah. Well, Deus Ex was the Human Revolution, the one that came out in 2011. Was people like that game?
Sure. Okay.
And apparently Square Enix is already teasing. It's posed for Square Enix, so they like started teasing this game earlier this week, and then they announced it yesterday. And they're already teasing another game.
Which is it?
We don't know yet.
Oh.
But it's Japanese.
Is it Final Fantasy VII HD Remaster?
Maybe.
Okay.
All we know is that, you go to jp.squareenix.com/secret. It shows this like overview of a mountain, like you're like looking down on a mountain, and it just says like SAR 0101, like with all the letters kind of spread out. So who knows what that means?
It's probably some bullshit.
Yeah, probably. Hey, I wanted to talk about Amiibo, but I don't have any time to talk about Amiibo.
Oh, but Amiibos.
Well, let us know if you can score a Greninja this coming Monday.
No, it's April 27th. I regret saying that on air, but yeah.
Because you think someone might go to the Toys R Us near your house and then get the Greninja before you do?
Yes. Yes, I do.
I don't think you have to worry about that too much.
No, I really think I do.
Well, that's just because you're a crazy person.
I don't think you understand.
No, I don't.
Amiibo.
I really don't.
That's fine. Don't understand it. Don't get sucked in.
I'm not sucked in. I've got 3.
That's a dangerous, slippery slope.
I do want a Ganondorf one, though.
I'll let you know.
I'm sure you will.
I will. No, I really will. I'm all about trying to get my friends Amiibos whenever possible.
Sometimes it's just not possible.
Sometimes it's just not possible. Literally, I got a tweet during this podcast that was like, PlayAsia pre-orders are up, and I was going to try to score a NES for our dear friend.
And they were already gone.
But they were already gone.
That's fucking incredible.
The Japanese one, you can always get Japanese Amiibos for like a premium, but you can always get them.
Not when they start getting distributed over here too.
Oh God, it's all over. It's all over, man. I'm never gonna get that dude.
You mean
NES.
this podcast?
Yeah, this podcast is also over.
Next week on Amiibo Cast,
Ryan,
we talk about Amiibo.
Oh shit!
And Pokemon. And probably some other games.
I hope so.
And we might write something. Go to bearvsman.com
to read about stuff that we wrote about. I wrote about the WoW token.
I saw that. I want to talk about that too, but just not enough hours in a week. Not enough hours in a podcast.
No. You can also email us at bearvsmangaming@gmail.com.
Or follow us at bearvsman
on Twitter. On the Twitter.
Or follow us on Instagram at gfy.com. We don't use Instagram.
No, we have an Instagram.
No, we don't.
I thought we got one.
I didn't do it.
Oh, I might have.
Twitch.com/bearvsman sometimes has something going there.
It's twitch.tv.
Rarely.
/bear-versus-man.
Who cares? They would have figured that out.
They might.
They think of twitch.com/bear-versus-man. It's just like, oh, doesn't work.
It's just like a bear and a dude twitching on the floor because they both fought each other.
I was like, oh, I guess they're just not doing it right now, so just come back later.
Yeah.
Close.
But yeah, tell your friends. That's how we get listeners. Is word of mouth and good vibes. So tell your friends.
Yeah, that's true. You should do that.
All right.
But until next week, tell your how about this? You guys go tell your friends. We're gonna go play some video games, and then we'll talk about it next week. We'll meet back here next Wednesday. I'm
actually gonna go feed my dog.
Okay. Do you want to play video games after that? Or?
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, bye, everybody. Bye.
All right. Later.